they're worthy. No, they value money more than human beings. They don't care. Conscience, integrity, honor. They don't even have to think these things through. They're happening to them on a subconscious, semi-conscious, subliminal level. People can be totally evil and given over and not know it. And if you're silent about pointing these things out, then you become culpable by default position. You didn't do anything. If you had a chance to warn somebody, hey, you're about to fall into a nasty pit here because your heart isn't right. I can tell by talking to you that your values are askew. Okay, that you need to get your values in line. You need to get on your knees and pray to God to give you right values, because the ones you have are not right. And here's where they're going to lead you, because there's only two places you can go at the end of the day, on Judgment Day, which might be for any of us anytime. The last chance we have to get right values, okay, is today. We don't know that it isn't. And I strongly suggest everybody explore that just prayerfully. It's a personal, individual thing that God wants it to have a relationship, an intimate relationship with all of us. And we need to spend that time to get our heads straight, to have the right opinions on all these issues that are controversial and that people don't talk about. I'm pointing out, I mean, it's like the elephant in the room. Oh my God, this national debt, the homelessness, it's never $50 billion a year going into this, and the problem getting worse. And I mean, we don't talk. They don't talk about the drivers of the crime. We're all saying how law enforcement ought to treat people, and these criminals are bad, and this and that, and the next thing. But we don't say what's driving it. We don't talk about how the money, it's the homicides, the drugs, all this stuff, the prostitution, all the problems we have. I mean, just all of it, the white-collar crime. Make a list of crimes. Those are crimes, and look into it. The vast majority revolve around money. So that's what you understand. This is a big fat fly in the ointment of humanity's joy. These are big fat turds in humanity's punch bowl. We're swimming in a veritable ocean, okay, of turds, a punch bowl of turds. Okay, that's what we're swimming in, an ocean-sized punch bowl, riddled with turds. Okay, and I don't want to be in a punch bowl with any turds. So, we could work our way out of this thing. If we had true capitalism, gradually prosperity would grow across the board. It'd be a rising tide of prosperity that lifted all ships. It didn't swamp some and lift others the highest heaven, as this is, and they call it capitalism. It's the exact opposite of capitalism. Capitalism turned on its head, but it's not true capitalism in any way, shape, or form. Okay, the effects are there. There's identifying factors to say here's progress relative to true capitalism. And this is anti-progress. So what do you have? You've got anti-capitalism. That's what we have. So we're in deep. We've got a big problem, and we need God's help to extricate ourselves. We all need to pray and ask God what we can do for help, to help in this matter, and just to get our heads screwed on straight and to be able to weather this storm. We're going to the end of the age, beginning of a new age. It's going to be a sea change like never before in human history is upon us, but we can handle it. Look in what short order we can handle the changes we've just seen. I mean, traffic drying up on the LA freeway, that was every commuter's wet dream, and it happened virtually overnight. We can handle big changes, and that's exactly what we need to handle, and we need God's help. So I was considering what the title of the video series this morning, and I thought, well, you know what, maybe an ocean-sized punch bowl full of turds and turdlets. And, that's what we're facing here is that, I don't want to drink from the punch, but we're all forced to. This is why, we say, okay, well, we got to be here. Might as well, when in Rome, do like the Romans. So we love money. But, there's a huge schism. If you're a decent, upright person, I mean, with a modicum of conscience, you see the problem, okay, how it gives a huge advantage to one class. And those are the thieves. Remember, they're thieves that they're not better, they're not more blessed, they're not smarter than anybody. They just love money more, and they're willing to do things you and I aren't, to have that money and all the accoutrements that come with it. So this is why they run the show, and these are the turds that want to take advantage of you, that want to steal your labors, okay? And if we let them do it, then we're culpable. So we've got a big responsibility here, my friends. So I want to get on to some thoughts from this last from this last week. Some not thoughts, but some recent current events and other talking points I wanted to get into. But want to make sure everyone understands my stance on immigration. Like I said, I tear down the border. Okay, I'm fine with that. I'm no xenophobe. My grandmother, my mom's side, came from Dalmatia, which is a part of Croatia, that area. Both her parents, and settled in East LA, Maywood to be exact. And she became a landlord down there. We're going back at the, close to the turn of the 20th century. So going back, and I don't condemn anybody. I don't condemn landlords, and I don't condemn immigrants. I mean, I get it. Believe me. I mean, everybody's toyed with the idea of becoming a landlord. There's good landlords. I work for a landlord, nicest woman in the whole world. But it's just, I'm talking about the greedy ones that are out there just buying. They're insatiable, invest, speculate, and it's just pick all that low hanging fruit, and it makes lives for the struggling young couple miserable, because it makes it hopeless, because they're trying hard to enter middle class. Home ownership is involved in that, the American dream and all that good stuff, a sense of security, a sense of financial freedom. Okay, light at the end of the tunnel. Once we get the house paid off, we're going to have some bread for our golden years. Okay, everybody wants that, but fewer and fewer people can get it. Now the majority of California residents are renters. I mean, we're in a lot of trouble. We're way down this demonic rabbit hole toward hell. And you know what? Oh, we need God. Again, we need God. We need God. God help us. God help us. Be gentle with us, because we don't deserve it. I mean, we have been so bad. If we're just one big family, we're all God's children. I'm trying to let all the other kids know, man, we've been bad children. We've let a lot of bad. We didn't take a bullet at. I mean, at least JFK and Martin Luther King Jr. and Abraham Lincoln and anybody else, all the saints out there, okay, that have died, okay, for fighting the good fight against these evil men that rule over us, decidedly evil. Okay, these are just mean people. You need no more about them than that. That these are very, very mean, decidedly mean people. Meanness has a definition. They don't care about you. These are genocidal people. They want to save the planet. That's the pretense. I mean, they're talking about delusion. They want to get rid of 7 billion people. Look at the Georgia Guidestones. I'm not just making up conspiracy theories, okay? That's who these people are. These elitists at the very top, the Bilderberger Group, the New World Order cabal, the money printing class, these top politicians, a lot of them are in on it. They're the ones that validate, legitimize what these people want, the policies that they want, because they know which side their bread is buttered on. They don't care about we the people are really the only legitimate boss of these people. They don't really, the legitimate employers. We're paying the taxes, paying their salaries, but they're beholden to these other interests. So you get who's really running this show? It's some real mean MFers, man. Okay, and God knows it. Thank God God knows it. But we need prayer. We need to pray to God. Please, God, go easy on us. But we need big changes. We're going to have to see our money going up in worth, not down, and people just accept that as normal. That's just the way it is. This guy doesn't have enough business, so the business that comes to him, he has to really soak them, because he's not getting enough work. You want his shop to survive, right? I mean, his business, you gotta, you know what I mean? It's just, what are you gonna do? I mean, we're not talking about cutthroat competition when it comes to that sort of thing. No, I mean, we're saying, hey, let's talk about the worth of the money. People would, if they didn't listen to me, they would think, well, I'm saying the answer is just raise the minimum wage through the roof. And then if this idiot thinks, that's good, and that's going to cause inflation, currency debasement through inflation, more watering down, dilution of the money. That's all it's going to do to give minimum wage workers a raise. No, that's not what I'm saying, though. I'm telling you that let's look at in the early 60s, at the point when minimum wage was $1 an hour, good even $1 an hour. Okay, and here was the buying power of that $1 an hour. You understand? Your wife could stay home. You could take care of the family. You could be a homeowner, and you could pay all your bills comfortably, have money to burn, money to save, a disposable income. That's the reality on that $1 an hour. So everybody in this federal minimum wage could do that. The system worked fine. You understand? With that standard of living. So what is the equivalent of that now? Am I saying that's what it should be? Because you know your head's going to reel. Well, if I live in San Francisco, I know I got to make well over $100 an hour. And I got to work 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week to buy a house and take care of my family. So am I saying that federal minimum wage should be $100 an hour? No, it's been very balkanizing because I could live somewhere in Arkansas for $5 an hour with a higher standard of living than in San Francisco on $50 an hour. So what's the answer? Well, if the the Labor Department had been in there saying, hey, come out and say, hey, you know what? Somebody's manipulating markets. By evidence, axiomatic evidence here is in your face, self-evident. Somebody's manipulating, but colluding, fixing prices because normally, organically, naturally, automatically, prices are supposed to go down. The worth of your money is supposed to go up. That's progress relative to capitalism. It's prosperity across the board is what gradually happens because your money simply goes up in worth as we learn methods of mass production. Do you understand mass production? Supply and demand. Think about it. So what's supposed to happen? Your money keeps going up and up in worth. And eventually we don't care about money anymore. So in other words, minimum wage could be 50 cents an hour today, but have greater buying power. You could live a higher standard of living than on that dollar an hour in the 60s. That would have been a little bit of progress over these half a century. But no. Do we have that? No, we don't. Not at all. We have the contrary. So we're in trouble, my friends, and we all got to figure it out. Last week I talked about that guy I met and this guy down in Boulder Creek. He offered to go talk to this guy that was giving me a hard time. He's 6'8", 300 pounds. And I finally, because I couldn't remember his name, and then later I did. It was Herman, which I should have remembered because there was a place called Mount Herman nearby, and he was like a mountain. He was a mountain of a man. But it felt good that this guy offered his services for free. But I didn't need him to talk to the guy, and everything worked out in the long run. The way it's supposed to, I guess. With one guy doing hard time. Speaking of Mount Herman, that's where I know the bass player's brother from Journey, Brett Valerie. He's from Mount Herman. It's a place that's just kind of adjacent to the town of Felton because I lived in Felton for several years when I was a teenager and child. So. But it's kind of fun, to meet somebody that is related to somebody, that's pretty famous. I mean, Journey is kind of a big group, right? It's kind of fun. But a lot of families got some deep roots in that area. So sometimes I will kind of let myself go and play it up a lot just to try to impress upon people the serious nature of what I'm talking about. I wouldn't waste my time talking about this stuff if I didn't feel it was imperative information for people to have. And if I heard anybody else talking about it, I could point to it and say, go listen to that person. Okay, that's all. That's all. But you know what? I mean, we have to figure out the trouble we're in, man, and what it's going to take. It's going to take some serious, profound changes, a lot of pain. A lot of people are going to be very upset. Okay, that the value of their house went down. But to say it's good that the value in their house went up for no reason in the first place is just like saying it's good that the value of your food went up the supermarket. They're both essential human needs. It's a survival thing. It's a survival commodity. For God's sake, you want dirt cheap housing, dirt cheap food, dirt cheap energy costs, water, potable water costs. Of course you do. If they want to play games with markets, let them do it with the luxury items, trinkets, knickknacks, and all that kind of crap. Luxury item. Nobody cares. Nobody needs those things to survive. But they don't. They pick. It's a low-hanging fruit. Oh, I want the essential human needs. I know where the real security here is, hey, you hold it over their head. You need housing. You don't want to suffer needlessly and die out in the cold like those homeless people, do you? Well, you better crack that nut. It's going to get harder and harder and harder, and your sense of financial insecurity is going to go higher and higher and higher. Your sense of financial freedom is going to go down, 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 down. Okay, that's what you are. You're just a hamster on a hamster wheel that's going to get harder and harder. So, you might as well just jump off, go die under the bridge, because we're shipping in young, strong immigrants that can displace you, take your place. They can turn that hamster wheel that we say gets harder, because we need to steal more and more and more. We need to take more and more and more, because we keep watering down the gold, the currency, the money supply. So we just siphon off more and more and more and make sure that when it's boiled down, we get far more than our share. It's a theftocracy.